ready to launch! I used to live in Green Noah at Side 7. I went to high school there. My dad designed the Gundam Mark II. When the Titans showed up in Green Noah, I got into a fight with their lieutenant, Jared Mesa. That's what pulled me into this war. I never wanted to be a pilot, but once I knew about the Titans, I didn't have much of a choice.
I hear Lieutenant Quattro's going to brief us on the mission. Are you sure you're up for a plunge through the atmosphere?
I may have been forced into this, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna quit. Now, shh! The briefing's about to begin.
The AUG is going to execute an orbital drop on Jaburo, the headquarters of the Earth Federation forces. We expect heavy opposition from the elite Federation unit known as the Titans. Unless they are neutralized, our forces will never reach the ground safely. Opoli and Roberto will fly as my wingmen.
Yes, sir. Roger!
Camille and Lieutenant Emma will each lead a team down.
Yes, sir!
Understood.
Camille's Gundam Mark II and my Hyakushiki comprise the main force of this operation. If either falls, the mission will fail. Be careful out there. The operation begins now.
Lieutenant Quattro seems in his element. It's almost like he enjoys war.
Now, Camille, that seems a little bit judgmental. We don't know anything about this guy, even though he does seem kind of familiar. We don't have anything to equip, either skills or parts, and we can already see most of the enemies on the map. But no enemy rivals, no enemy aces. I'm sure that'll change eventually.
Gundam Mark II, ready to launch!
We'll have to enter the atmosphere to make the drop on Jaburo.
Well, yeah, I think I understood that much from the briefing, but thank you for reminding me. Now, the first thing we want to do is head all the way to the bottom down there, because you can see there's one tiny blue dot surrounded by a whole field of red, and we need to rescue their ass. Lieutenant Quattro, Apoli, and Roberto can handle everything up here by themselves, but this ace down here, they're in trouble. This story as a whole showcases how your actions can not only change the flow of battle, but we can also change the outcome of certain story events. For example, if we don't come down here to rescue Emma, she will have to retreat and won't be able to enter the atmosphere with the rest of us, at least not at the same time.
I sent Opoli and Roberto to get the head. Now I'm going to support Emma.
Come on!
In spite of that dialogue, Quattro is incapable of making it down here in time to support Emma, so you should come down here and do it. Because otherwise the mission's going to go kinda south. The Gundam Mark II's notable combos are an uppercut, a thrust that starts with a machine gun blast, and a bazooka, just like the original Gundam. The thrust is very good for cutting right into the heart of a group of enemies, and the bazooka is good for the same thing it was in the original story mode.
I'm fine. It'll take more than that to hurt me.
I'm not reading any damage to your suit. Back to formation, Emma.
This is why everyone keeps dying!
All units, prepare to enter the atmosphere.
Roger! Landing force, head for the drop zone! Enemy mobile suits!
Prepare to repel mobile suits. All hands, level 1 battle stations. You think you can outrun us? I'll go on ahead of the fleet. The Titan's second wave is already here.
Out of my way!
So just like the pop-up said, we need to aid our allies. After we free all of our allies from the enemy fields, then they will move forward to the center field, and that will clear up a path for us to move to the drop point. Everyone except for Emma in this battle is very capable of holding their own. They will take some damage, but you can leave them alone for extended periods of time and they'll be just fine. You should help them when you can though, because it makes the battle go a lot faster. The only reason I'm taking over this field right now is to show you that although this is an outer space mission, there are little indoor sections that the enemy squadrons can hide inside. And when we do eventually make our way over to an ally, we'll see that they've been busy themselves. For example, Quattro over here has almost taken over this entire field. Quattro is easily the strongest of your allies, which is good because he's the one that, you want to protect unless you want the mission to fail. Of course, you don't want your other friends to get shot down either, but what I'm saying is that Quattro is essential.
Amazing work, Camille. You're one heck of a pilot.
So Camille's whole thing as a character is getting really pissed at people for making stupid decisions and throwing their lives away. Like, he gets really pissed about that. That doesn't stop him from killing them, but he still gets pissed. I think the Gundam Mark II is a very nice change from the original Gundam. It's a bit familiar, but it's also different enough that, that this whole story feels fresh. This story is also way more difficult than the first one, though it may be hard to tell from this first mission. But you'll see what I mean later. It gets pretty ridiculous. Oh, before I forget, the Gundam Mark II's bazooka fires way slower than the original Gundams, and it's also the third chain, instead of the second one like the Gundam's was. The second chain for the Mark II is that dashing thrust. The bazooka being a part of a longer chain means it's a bit harder to use just to snipe at enemies, but it is easier to use up close. We can see Appley over here, while he's been making some progress, isn't nearly as strong as Lieutenant Quattro. He's not in that much danger, though. As I said, not very many enemy aces, are there? Not a single one yet. I mean, granted, we've already murdered 130 normal pilots, but none of those guys had names. And I don't think that AI-controlled suits were a thing until Gundam Wing. So these were all real people, they just weren't very important people. I like that in any field with a satellite next to it, you can jump over the satellite. It's actually a solid object and not just a huge invisible wall. That is very much appreciated. This may seem kind of tame, but it is the first mission of this story mode. And it does set up the expectations for the rest of the battles to come. Almost all of the battles in Camille's story mode revolve around getting from one field to another very, very quickly to save someone. We're going to leave the central field alone for right now, because I'm sure Appley and Quattro have got that handled. Man, there's like no notable pattern between everyone's names. Their names are just all over the place. What even is an Amuro? On the other hand, Camille is a fairly normal name. Maybe it's not spelled this way, but the name itself is fairly normal. It's like a weird combination of space names and average Joe names because they didn't want to stick with just one. Look, you've got to think about something to pass the time while you're butchering hundreds of people. After a while, you get desensitized to the whole mass murder thing.
Here it comes!
You'll have to defeat the defense commander on the strategy field in order to take control of it.
This is actually the first time in Camille's story that we see a commander deploy, so that dialogue does make sense here. Commanders work the same way in every story mode. You need to defeat them to take over a field. Though again, not all of the fields have commanders. Now we're going to head back over to the central field and see how Quattro and his buddies have been doing. And the answer is they've been kicking ass. This field has almost been completely taken over without my help. In spite of Quattro being established as the strongest ally on your team, you're going to see him get in a lot of trouble later. He's definitely not invincible.
It seems our guests are all worked up.
Appley will be fine. We only have one more field to take after this one. We can see a shit ton of mobile suits down there near the drop point, and that's actually the largest concentration of enemy mobile suits in the game so far. After the center field is taken, Quattro will naturally move to the last remaining one and attempt to take it out, but of course that will go faster with our help. I like the little notifications at the bottom about how many enemies your allies have defeated, because it shows you that they're actually doing something. For example, we just saw that even Emma destroyed 100 enemies, and she was in a lot of trouble earlier. I wouldn't call this mission difficult in the slightest, but it's kind of deceptive in comparison with the rest of Camille's story mode, which is very challenging. Well, it's very challenging if you care about how you influence the story events like a normal person. But if you don't care and you just want to do the bare minimum, then it's probably a lot easier. But why would you even bother playing like that? I mean, the game gives you the option to change the outcome of the story. Hey Quattro, sorry to muscle in on your territory, but we need to wrap this shit up. The little arc of lightning between us means we can use a combined Muso attack, but we'll save that for later.
This is why everyone keeps dying!
You can see the rest of our allies are already down here in this giant wad of enemy mobile suits. And after we clear the way for them, they'll head directly to the drop point. And by clear the way, I mean destroy a designated number of enemies. There's no field down here, so we can't use the traditional method this time. It's okay though, we're almost out of here. Just dash from place to place, slice a couple of enemies, and then we can drop down to Jaburo. And still no enemy aces. I don't know, something feels weird about that. I'm sure it's nothing, I really shouldn't be so paranoid. I did say this was the largest wad of mobile suits, and it is, but they're kind of spread apart right now. They'll get into a more concentrated wad in a second.
Time to enter the atmosphere! Never mind the enemy. Just get the mobile suits onto the ground.
I'm gonna get ya!
Roberto, heading down!
Out of my way!
Emma reporting. Now entering the atmosphere.
This is Opoly, entering atmosphere. Argamon, full combat speed. Let's get out of this quadrant. Godspeed to you all.
Not bad!
Is that a Gundam Mark II? Slow down. This place is dangerous. Watch the gravity. We can make that work for us.
Come on!
Hey, there are enemy aces. Unfortunately, Jared and Capricorn, at least in this appearance, are very, very easy to deal with. I mean, this is Capricorn's only appearance, but he's still very easy to deal with. Either way, after we take them out, we can drop down to the atmosphere with Lieutenant Quattro, and then we'll begin our assault on Jaburo. The hell kind of name is Capricorn, anyway? Wait, hold on, I apologize, his name is Capricorn. Capricorn Kakuler, that's his full name. What is with these people? But yes, this fight is a piece of cake, especially since we have Lieutenant Quattro with us.
I'm gonna get ya! Amelia! Out of my way!
How long can she hold without a Balyut?
Capricorn, she won't hold any longer!
If we open our Balyuts, we'll be sitting ducks!
Damn! That's it!
Jared, you coward! Now I can't shoot!
She's burning up! You're gonna fry!
What? It's on auto? This'll get me killed!
If you kept your distance, you wouldn't have been hit!
Ah!